Before we begin, I would like to invite our listeners to participate in an upcoming workshop designed to help you understand yourself by making a deep connection to your past and future lives. The workshop is called Your Past is Present, Dowsing Your Connection to Other Lifetimes. The workshop will be conducted over 2 days on October 1st and 2nd over Zoom, and each student will receive newly designed dowsing charts and protocols that will allow you to make an emotional and experiential connection to your other lifetimes. For more information, please visit vitalbioenergetics.com and click on the Workshops tab. And now for today's podcast. Welcome to High Vibes with your host, Bill G. At High Vibes, we're looking into what it means to be a fourth dimensional being in an ever-changing world. We hope that by listening to our podcast, you can feel a greater sense of peace and connection as we collectively raise our energetic vibration to the next level. And now for today's podcast. Hello and welcome to High Vibes. I'm your host, Bill G, and my special guest here today is Gem Rhodes. Gem Rhodes is a lifelong resident of the Saratoga Springs area, and she is the coordinator for the Mind, Body, Soul Expo in Saratoga Springs, which is now, I believe, on its 6th year. So it is doing quite well. It is a fantastic event that I've participated in several times, and we're bringing her on the show to figure out what it all takes to put one of these things together, and just basically to follow your dream, follow your goal here. So Gem, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill, for having me. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. Thank you.
Let's get started by just taking a step back and just getting to know you a little bit better. What motivated you to get to be the coordinator for this event?
So it actually, there's a long story, but to keep it short, in 2017, I was diagnosed with AVN, which is a vascular necrosis. It's blood loss to the bone. And I had to have double hip replacements at age 45. And during that time, my brother also passed away suddenly from a pulmonary embolism. So it wasn't something obviously expected, and it was just
very sudden, I imagine, too.
Yeah, he 46 years old. But it was around that time that I also did events as a vendor. Like I actually experienced doing events as a vendor. So I knew as a vendor and as a promoter, like I have all the experiences there, right? So I knew what I wanted to bring to the event in addition to my experience. It was at that time when I was going through my own traumas and dealing with the loss of my brother that I decided that I needed to have an event that was geared towards health, wellness, holistic healing. I literally stood on my back deck. I raised my arms up in the air and I said, "What do you want from me?" Announcing to the universe, right? Uh-huh. And this is how the Mind, Body, Soul Expo was kind of like born. Mm-hmm. It was a gift that was given to me that I can share with others. I'm like, it was my healing process, but it was also a gift from the universe saying, this is what you need to do. Your job, your goal here in life is to bring all these people together for health, wellness, holistic, and your role in life is to help heal. That was the message I received.
So when you got started doing when you first got this idea, and we're going to put together this expo, and we're going to bring all these people together. This is going to be really, really cool. Was there
Yeah.
in the Saratoga Springs area, was there anything else like this happening?
No, at the time, so there were a lot of events going on, but there was nothing like this. And so a little history about Saratoga. Saratoga is very famous for their healing waters. So they have these mineral springs and what have you, and they're all over Saratoga, and people have traveled for miles, days to come to these waters, to drink the waters, to be healed for whatever ailment that they're going through. Mind Body Soul Expo has been offered to go outside of Saratoga. Mind Body Soul Expo was created for Saratoga, and it was created around the healing springs of Saratoga. It just makes sense. And those who have never experienced the healing springs of Saratoga, I highly recommend that you have an opportunity to come to Saratoga and experience it. The waters have been here. That's what Saratoga was built around, was
Right.
built around these healing springs. And these healing springs have so much power. A friend of mine who does these tours for the waters and the different healing properties of each spring. So, right in the Saratoga State Park, there's the Roosevelt baths. Well, their baths are with these waters from Saratoga, from the springs of Saratoga, and it's just mind blowing the feedback you can read about from people who have experienced these healing springs. They're not just, I'm going to go there and taste the water. No, they actually heal your ailments, cancer,
Hmm.
stomach issues. Like there's proven written thing about these springs in Saratoga.
So that's why you chose Saratoga Springs as the place. I'm
Yeah,
not only because you live there, it was a deliberate choice. We're
it
going
was,
to connect
yes,
the healing of the springs with the healing of the events.
exactly. I mean, it just, Saratoga is much more than horse racing. It's much more than that. We are a hub. We are the central location for healing in New York. That is like,
It's fascinating to me that no one had thought of this before you to have this kind of event at this location. I guess people were using the springs and they saw the horse racing thing and it was kind of disconnected maybe. I know that there are several people who do like psychic fairs around there, but this is not your typical psychic fair. This is not
oh, no, no,
like that
no.
at all.
So, Mind Body Soul Expo is about mind, body, soul. There are other events that do say about spirit. I don't like the word spirit
Mhm.
personally. Um, when I think of spirit, I think of alcohol.
Alcoholics.
Yeah,
So you think of
yeah,
spirit, you think alcohols. Okay, cool.
yeah. So, like, I don't connect that. So,
Hmm.
the soul right here and the spiritual awakening that you're having, our psychic mediums, our tarot readers, our like kirtan with chanting, like the soul captures kind of our realm of our spiritual awakening, right?
Hmm.
So, mind, body, soul. Mind, Body, Soul Expo heals the mind, body, soul, everything, all in your interpretation, my interpretation. Back in that time when I went through my hip replacements and whatnot. My brother passed away, I had mentioned, but my father also passed away within a year of my brother passing away. My father had cancer that was from, they said, Agent Orange from Vietnam. My dad, yeah, he was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, and he was just like this awesome man. Like and it wasn't just with me. After he passed, I had quite a few people contact me and say your father was really awesome, helped me through a lot of things. It was really at that time when I lost my dad that I was like, the Mind Body Soul Expo is very much about my dad and my brother.
Mhm.
So it was very much carrying on their legacy. So my brother was a physical therapist, but he worked at Wesley Healthcare Center, which is right in Saratoga. My brother would give the shirt off his back if he could for you.
Mhm.
He would, that's what he would do. And my father was very much the same way. And so this event as part of my healing with their deaths, it became what it was because I put all that energy of the love of my dad and the love of my brother into these events. And I'm like, this event is from my dad and my brother. And like yourself, I explained to that when you first met me and signed on, that let me explain the importance of these events, because I need you to be able to connect on your own level, not connect because it's important to me. I need you to connect on it on a level of your own. So one of the things that I've discovered going through Mind Body Soul Expo and meeting different practitioners in their modalities, they've all experienced something similar. Their reason for offering what they are offering is because of an experience that they've gone through with, whether it's trauma, whether it's a lost loved one, or what have you. And so we're one in the same. So when I say we are one, we are actually one, because we are going through this experience together. We have lost loved ones, we have trauma, assault, I have PTSD, I
Mhm.
have all that stuff. So like, I get it, I understand. But our experiences are all different, but our feelings are the same, right? And so our feelings when we're going through this and we want to help other people, this is Mind Body Soul Expo.
Yeah,
It's people coming together to help other people who have gone through similar things, period. Right?
absolutely. Yeah. And actually that is a common thread among people in the
Yes.
alternative health field is
Yes.
tragedy seems to be a thing that follows most of us who decide to go in this, because usually, why do people go to alternative health in the first place? It's because Western medical failed them somehow, or that they're going through an awakening process and their previous religious views are no longer serving them, or
Yeah.
their previous beliefs, their previous paradigms and constructs, they're just not doing it anymore. So they go to these different modalities, and along the way they get good at it. They not only go to see a practitioner, they learn how to do it themselves, and then they have that awakening moment.
Yes.
Like, wait a second, I can actually live my life this way. I
Yes.
don't. I actually. I don't have to just be a patient who works a corporate job somewhere. I can be the practitioner, and I
Yes.
can then take that to the next level, and then meet people out there who also are seeking. So that way, everybody helps everybody else.
And I also like to share that I don't have a college degree in this. I'd like to share that because there's as much as college degrees are awesome and they're great to have, it's not necessary. I like to remind people of that. That was something that I had that imaginary mallet, that rubber mallet, beat myself in the head, that you need to have a college degree in order to succeed in life. No, you don't. Credentials are awesome. You need those credentials and that experience to be able to catapult you forward to where you need to be. However, the traditional college education, you don't need it. All the marketing I do myself. I don't hire somebody. There's not an outside source that does it. I've done it myself. There's a lot of things involved with creating a business that I'm still learning about. And like I said, I'm in my 6th year, and this event is just like, it's the place to be.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, I created this. I had a vision, I had a dream, I followed it, and it's happening.
Yes.
And it's so awesome. And it was a simple business model. It wasn't this extravagant business model that some of these places have. It was very simple. Here's my dream. This is what I want. Come on board, be a part of it, and you're a part of the family. Free admission event for people in the community to come in and get education and to learn and to discover things that they've never knew existed. And I have these beautiful practitioners coming out saying, I want to help. And so they come in, they pay, they be there, and they're there to help the community.
Mhm.
That's priceless. It's so awesome to connect with you, Bill. Like you reach out to me and you're like, I would like to have you on my podcast. I'm like, oh my God. Like, really? Oh my God, this is awesome. This is great. Because you get it and understand, and you're embracing it and wanting to share it with your viewers.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds a little bit here and just
Oh,
say that, okay, so if I'm a potential vendor and I want
yeah.
to apply to be a vendor at your show, what specifically are you looking for? What are the kind of criteria you look for in a potential vendor?
So, vendors, I love and appreciate every vendor that has come to me. And I say come to me because they come to me. I don't advertise. Like the universe is bringing them to me. So I have a very special event that's at the Gideon Putnam in October. This event is very special because I have envisioned this event since the very beginning of the expo, that the event was supposed to be at the state park. And so I have my vision board,
Mm-hmm.
and I have that on there, and it's come to light and it's here, and I'm so excited. This is this time for practitioners to shine. We've been kind of like brushed to the side. We've been kind of said, it's not ready yet. People aren't ready yet. Nah, nah. This is the time. The time is here, and it's your time to shine. So that's my message to the practitioners.
Okay.
Seriously, it's time. It's time for you to come out and share your gifts with the world. We're
Awesome.
here. It's happening.
So, okay, so you talked a little about the Gideon Putnam, and I was going to ask you about that, but so
Yes.
it's the Gideon Putnam is actually in the state park. So that was the original vision.
It is.
get it into the state park. So let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the city center in Saratoga Springs.
Yes.
What about that location? Because that's a location where it's primarily been for the last for most of them, right?
So Mind Body Soul Expo's home is the city center in Saratoga. Back when in 2018, very first Mind Body Soul Expo was at the Holiday Inn in Saratoga, and we had 40 vendors. It was my first event. And I was like, I don't know if people are ready for this. Are they ready yet? It was something that was gifted to me and said, you need to present this. So I gifted it, and I'm like, I don't I don't know if people are ready. So 40 vendors, oh my God.
Mhm.
They like every other person that came through the door was like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is amazing. And so I was like, well, I need to take it bigger. It needs
Mhm.
to be bigger. This isn't big enough for what I see and what I was gifted. So I took it to the city center. And so in March 23rd of 2019, which was before the pandemic, 4,000 4,000 people came through that door embracing and loving Mind Body Soul Expo. And I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. This is great because we're are free. I've had opportunities to charge admission. My business is to have it free admission.
Mhm.
I want people who have never experienced health and wellness modalities and people to come in and say, I need to come to this event because this woman is doing this class, or this man is doing this class, or they are doing this class, and I want to be a part of it, and it's free. I don't want people to have to worry about the cost to come in to experience this beautifulness at this event. I cannot have this event without like yourself, Bill,
Mhm.
or these other vendors. My vendors create this event. So the vendors who come to me and want to experience and present themselves and be a part of this event, they are the event. Every year, I don't reach out. Vendors reach out to me. And that's how I create the event because I feel that it's that organic, this is my mission, this is what I'm doing. And I feel that the universe brings to me how that event should be for that time.
So let's talk a little bit about the pandemic and how that
Oh, God.
affected your the Mind Body Soul Expo and how, first of all, I mean, you said in 2019, 4,000 people came through that door,
Yeah.
and it was a beautiful, beautiful event. And you had scheduled another one in April of 2020, and then
Yeah.
the pandemic hit, and it put the kibosh on that.
Oh,
And
my God.
so, how?
There's so many different avenues to that. So I have a no refund policy on my contracts with vendors, meaning if I cancel, they cancel, they don't receive refunds. Pandemic happened. It's a whole different realm. Like it wasn't something that was isolated to New York State. It was, or Vermont, or this area. It was worldwide. And I sat there in my mind and I'm like, how am I going to handle this shit? Because I have contracts and whatnot, but at the same time, it's like, and this is my life. My vendors are what make my expos. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? And so I sat there and I was like, well, I need to have an event.
Yeah.
And I like people are it's like my friends are like, what do you mean you can't have an event? They're like everything's closed down to COVID. And I was like, I'm gonna have an event. I'm gonna figure this shit out. And so I contacted the city center and I actually talked with the general manager there and I'm like, I I have 135 vendors that are no refunds, and all this money went out into like advertising. What am I going to do? And he's like, I want to show you our new establishment. And it was a parking garage. And so I looked at the space and I'm like, can I have it's a parking garage. It's a parking garage. And I looked at it and I'm like, can I have an event here? And he's like, let's try it. And I'm like, all right. And so I had a health and wellness pop up event in a parking garage during the pandemic. And the people that were able to do the event, I'm like, your contract transfers to this. So you want to come and set up, it's at your discretion. You want to utilize it, your what you signed up for. Oh, let's do it. I had 20 vendors sign up. It was the middle of November. It was freaking 30 degrees out. And we had this event, and I was like, holy crap, we're doing this. We're doing this. And so that's what I did. Like the pandemic, I looked at it from a promoter's point of view. I looked at it as I need to have an event for my vendors and I need to figure something out because my vendor, even though I have a no refund policy, my integrity is there. So I'm like, oh my God, I need to find something. I need to figure something out. I'm going to have an event. And so during the pandemic, I actually had events going on. They weren't ideal. They were in a parking garage, but I still had them. And I was like, okay, you have credit, take care of your credit. Let's do this. We're going to have this event in a parking garage. Out of all, who has a health and wellness event in a parking garage? I did.
Yeah.
I did it. And it wasn't because and I created like this Facebook group. And I'm like, and you were a part of that, Bill, where
Mm-hmm.
you did these online things. And it's like we were all learning at that point. We didn't know what was going to jive, what was going to happen. But we, as in the positions that we were like, we need to help these people. These people are just like scared shitless in their homes. Like, I'm going to get COVID and the world's going to end. And we had to think of a way to ease their minds of it's going to be okay. We'll get through this. How are we going to get through this? All right, let's create a platform. Let's create an event. Let's try to get past this. And that's where my mentality goes with the pandemic. I look for ways to, like, as much as I was scared shitless and wanted to stay in my home, I also was looking out for my vendors, my supporters, and I wanted to create something that was a healing because here we are, we're in holy crap, the shit's going down.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what's going to happen, but we have all these beautiful people that have all these wonderful gifts to share that don't have to be in person. They can be remotely done. And so at that point, I was like, I need to share this with people. So that's where my thought process went. It wasn't like, all right.
So it's fascinating to hear a story where here it is, you were presented with an impossible situation. You know,
And I made it
the city
happen.
center said no. The New York State says no, you can't have an indoor event with more than 10 people. Sorry.
Yeah.
And
So,
so you pivot. You found a
yes.
way to pivot, which is
Yes.
excellent. And that gave you a tremendous amount of social credit among the vendors,
Mhm.
so that when
Thank you.
things finally did get back together, you know, September of 2021 came around, you finally were able to get back into city center and actually have an
Yeah.
event again. Tell me about that. How, you know, what were you feeling? How did it go?
Oh my goodness. So, like I said, during the pandemic, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta like create something. And so we did these parking garage events. I got the news from the city center that I could have a actual full scale expo. I like I wish I could have recorded my thing. I was just like, oh my God, this is awesome. Oh my God, this is so fabulous. Because like I shared before, the meaning behind the expo, it's I have my traumas and whatnot and the meaning behind it, but my vendors who come in with their healing and them wanting to be a part of it and being part of the Mind Body Soul Expo family, they were equally as, when are we going to have this? And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. And so I reached out to my vendors. I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. You guys want to be there. You want to be there. And some people were like, nah, I'm not ready because
Yeah.
pandemic stuff. The city center, let me tell you, because they do conventions. That's that's their that's what they do. And for them not to have conventions for a year, that's a lot of money lost, right? They have to pay their employees, they have to do this. Um, I think some people, um, I think some people have compassion towards things, but I think some people forget to look at that. So the city center took a lot of loss during pandemic
Yeah.
time. I mean, they're a convention center. They strive on events. They strive on, that's where they make their money, is for having that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
events. You know, that's what they do. And they also have employees. So these employees are not just employees, these are people that work day in, day out with Mind Body Soul Expo. So I know these people, and these people were threatened, not threatened, I shouldn't say, but um, the idea of them losing their job because of something that is beyond control
Right.
of anything, it just, it's really heartbreaking. So but that set aside, when I found out I could have the expo, I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome, this is so great, oh my God, we can do it, oh my God, it's so awesome, it's happening, it's great. And we had it, and we had over 2,500 people walk through that door. After the pandemic, we were technically still in a pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
because there were still restrictions, state nationwide. 2,500 people walked through that door, free admission, masks on. I didn't care. I was like, masks, I have them. If you want them, if you don't, whatever. That's where we were at that time. And I'm like, oh my God, 2,500 people. You put that in perspective. These are 2,500 people walked through a door during a pandemic mode, and they wanted health, wellness, holistic. They were looking for it. They wanted it. They were embracing it. And I was like, oh my God, this is priceless.
Then you had another event this past April in 2022.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So the one in April, so it was on Easter weekend, which I got some feedback on that as being Easter weekend. You won't ever have a successful event. And I'm like, well, why not? And then I found out it was on a full pink moon. I'm like, oh my God, people are not going to want to pass this up. So I wrote it. I was like, oh, we're on a full pink moon. Everybody's going to be there. We had 3,500 people walk through the door. 3,500. I don't charge admission. I have to keep saying that because there are all these events out there that charge an admission. And the admission fee, in my mind, that's a way for them to make money, right? And so I get that. I'm a free admission event, and we had 3,500 people walk through the door. I am blown away because it's very much needed. It's very much wanted. And yes, I could charge an admission. People tell me, oh, just think if you charge $1 a person, how much money? And it's not about that for me. I'm a business person, but at the same time, I'm in this for healing of people. Yes, I need to make some sort of profit for myself to make it so I can have these events. But you think 3,500 people came through that door to come experience the vendors that were there, that were offered at this event. That's huge.
And now you got now you have two upcoming events coming up. You've got the one on September 3rd, which is going to be also at the Saratoga City Center.
Yes.
And
you're going to be there.
I'm going to be there. Yes.
What are you going to be bringing?
I am going to be bringing myself. Yes, I'm going to be at both. I'm doing one of the outdoor ones over at the park. My booth is going to be primarily doing my dowsing stuff. I'm refocusing it on my dowsing and selling my books. I've got
good.
I have 4 books now.
So when I met you years ago, you had 2.
Yes.
And now you have 4.
Now I have 4. Now one is a rewrite of the first.
Yeah.
So it's a new edition of the first book, but that one just published, and I've been doing interviews lately on that. So I'm very, very excited. So I'm going to have a pile of books and then just me doing Akashic dowsing. It was wonderful talking to you today, and just to have you share your journey. And so if anybody out there is thinking, hey, this is a great event for me to get involved with, what is the best way for people to contact you?
The best way to contact me is email. It's mind, body, soul, expo, ny @gmail.com. And when you look at it, it looks like Expony. So, you typed in the right thing.
Awesome. And you also have a Facebook presence.
Yes, I'm Mind, Body, Soul Expo, all caps, on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram at Mind, Body, Soul Expo _NY. And then I also am, I have a website that is mindbodysoulexpo.com.
Awesome. So
easy peasy.
Easy peasy. All right.
Type it in and I'm there.
Thank you very much for being my guest today.
Thank you,
And thank
Bill.
you, everybody, for listening, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much for having me, Bill. I am honored and blessed. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. For more information about Bill and Nina G, please go to www.vitalbioenergetics.com. See you next time.